evening and welcome to tonight's show from DJNTV, Disc Jockey News TV. Tonight's show is brought to you by Electra Voice, DJ Event Planner, DJ Trivia, Odyssey Innovative Designs and Cases, NLFX Professional, Promo Only, and the DJNTV Insiders.
DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
All right, good evening and welcome to tonight's show. Tonight we've got actually two shows we're going to be doing. The first one I'm going to be kind of recapping one of the seminars that was shown last week or presented last week at DJ Expo. And then in our second show, Dan and I are going to be talking about 5 things that were educational tips, takeaways from DJ Expo 2019. For those of you who didn't follow anything last week, DJ Expo was happening in Atlantic City last week, and that's been a big thing. A lot of people are talking about it, and we shared a lot of great videos and such. You can check those out at youtube.com/discjockeynews and find out more about that. Tonight, we're going to be talking about something for the small business person. Jerry Bazzata was doing a seminar at DJ Expo last week talking about how basically to survive a recession, how to prepare today to survive, for your business to survive through a recession. And Jerry was sharing, Jerry has a background in banking, and he's kind of a loan officer for a bank, and that's maybe not his official title, but that's kind of what he does. And he was sharing how he has been seeing some signs. And if you've been following the news here in the last 10 days, that's the whole concept of a recession around the corner has been big. Jerry was thinking that sometime in late 2019 or early in 2020, there could be a recession that's going to be hitting us. I think we're going to see something probably into that early to mid 2020s where we're really going to start to feel a pinch. Depending upon where you are and what you have for an economy, specifically what type of major industries you have, you may not feel it at all, or you may feel it worse than other places, i.e. the whole housing market didn't affect us much here in Minnesota. We didn't feel that too terribly much. Down in the southern states where there were, in Arizona and such, some of you really felt it an awful lot. This particular one's going to hit those of us in the Midwest much harder because our farmers are struggling right now because of the whole tariff thing and all that. And then, of course, consumers are going to be paying. There's just a lot of things. So we probably are going to have a recession. Just in this is a newspaper, by the way, in this Sunday's newspaper here from the Star Tribune, and I believe it was a New York Times story, basically talking about that there's signs of recession being around the corner and that it is coming. Now, today's news, of course, they talked about that it's just a bunch of negativity and don't, be optimistic. Yeah, for those of us who like to prepare and not be surprised if something happens, this is for you tonight. If you are one that's going to be like, I don't need to worry about it, then just go watch reruns of Cheers or something, whatever will work for you. Tonight, we're going to be talking about some of the things you could do. Some of this is going to be coming from Jerry's presentation, and some of this is going to be me adding some color to it and a little bit different angle to it. Jerry did a wonderful job with presenting his information. And again, he's coming at it from a financial background and as a business owner in his DJ business. I'm coming at it from a little bit different angle than he is. So what you saw last week and what I'm going to talk about this week are going to be some similarities, because some of you who you've heard me talk about this for quite a while. So he did 5 key things to survive an economic downturn. It's kind of what Jerry talked about. A couple of the things we'll start off. I'll go through and give you kind of his main 5. For number 1 was basically don't wait to get credit. Line up your credit now. Number 2 is start putting cash away. Save, put cash away for the rainy day. Number 3 was don't count marketing. Number 4 was don't start discounting. Number 5 was think about who your target market clients are. And then he added a 6th one, and I'll get to that 6th one a little bit later. But I wanted to go through and kind of move these around a little bit and add some things in my own world. First off, if you're going to be wanting to survive a downturn in your business or in the economy that you're at, the first thing you really need to understand is the expenses and the cost of doing business. To know what it costs me to produce a show, what it costs me to go out on a Saturday night or Friday night or Thursday night. Finding out what my expenses are and what my income potential is. Do I have wiggle room? If I need to do some adjustment in my prices, or if I have to do some repackaging, or if I have to, heaven forbid, sell off gear to be able to make ends meet and kind of streamline my business, or if I need to be reducing staff, reducing this, reducing that. I need to know though what my expenses are in relation to my income so that I can make an informed and educated decision. If I don't have that, and if I don't understand what it costs me to do business, yes, all of you are going to say, well, I've got that cell phone. Hey, somebody messaged me. I've got this cell phone, and that cell phone, I would have to have it if I had a business or not. True story, but that should be a business expense, and you should be compensating or figuring out where it's coming from. Now, you may have a job that is your full-time job during the week, and the DJ thing's aside on a weekend, and that's all I cover it with that money. Okay, that's fine. But you need to understand what your expenses are, because if you're running a business and things get tough and all of a sudden you're hemorrhaging money out just to pretend to be a DJ on weekends, you're in a bad strait. So this was actually Jerry's number 6 tip, is to understand your income and expenses. For me, it would be number 1, because you've got to start there to understand this. And we talked about business plans. Drax and I have hammered on that one in videos. Go to DJNTV.com and type in business plan. And there are video after video after video, just a ton of them that we've done. And some of them are a little dry. I'll give you that. A little bit dry, but there's good information in there on how to put together a business plan. And if you really get crazy, I've got a bunch of series of little videos that are talking about that. And you can message me and I'll connect you to that, because that's on a different website. But that's all about business plan. Okay, excuse me there. So once you've got an idea of that, the first thing, I'm going to kind of go to a Dave Ramsey thing here, is you need to have that rainy day fund put together. You need to go and put together enough cash that it's going to be able to take you through some emergencies. Now, here's where Jerry and I probably differ a little bit, and he kind of drifts back to his first one where he talked about credit. Jerry liked to have the ability to have either a line of credit or a credit card or something like that available for a major breakdown, or if there was an emergency where you needed to have the ability to have some liquid credit or some money quickly, that you have this available. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. But I think that this is where we have to channel that Dave Ramsey and be able to go and put aside an emergency fund, and then to be able to start immediately putting aside enough money to be able to survive for 2 or 3 months with your typical expenses without much of any income. If things would really go south and sour, and all of a sudden those winter deposits that you kind of like to live off from aren't there anymore, you need to have the income to be able to survive those months. This is the time, kind of getting to the end of the season, I get that, but there's still a couple of, month and a half for most of us in the country of good events, dates and such, or time to do that. So this is a time to be putting that $20 or $50 or $100 a show aside, because that could be the money that's going to keep you afloat as you go through the winter. Jerry talked about credit. He's coming from a banking side, so he has got some great information about this. And his suggestion was to go and line up things like a line of credit right now if you don't have one. A line of credit, if you're not familiar with it, is basically a loan that is let's say it's a $10,000 line of credit. That means that I can go into the bank and I can say, hey, I need to borrow $5,000. They can advance me the $5,000. Then I can pay down that $5,000, and then I might need $2,000. Then it can, okay, so maybe maybe I took out 5, I paid 1,000 back, I took out 2, and I paid 4,000. It's this the ability to go back and forth. When I need some money, it's there. A line of credit is going to be something that the bank is going to look at your income capabilities and what you've had in the past, and they're going to say, okay, it looks like you've got a really good business. We'll give you a $5,000, $10,000 line of credit. Doesn't mean you have to use it. If you take out one and it's in a larger line of credit, it costs the bank actually money, according to what Jerry was saying. So some banks may start one, and if you don't use it, they'll kind of frown upon that a little bit. So that is there. The idea, though, is a line of credit is something that you can use in a case of an emergency. He also recommended, because of the cost to the bank for a line of credit, that maybe it might be better off to have a credit card that has that $10,000 limit, especially if it's a low interest rate credit card, that could be the thing to get you through the emergency. The emergency credit card. This wouldn't be used for buying food, putting food on a table, or doing things such as that. This is where all of a sudden my DJ truck dies and I need to put a new engine in it or something to that effect. Especially if I haven't done the Dave Ramsey thing and put money aside for those emergencies. I didn't have a big enough emergency fund. This is the thing that keeps me from basically being out of business. So again, establishing that now will work. What Jerry was saying, when you get closer to a recession time and when the things that business is starting to slow down, once it's slowing down, the bank is going to look at that and say, ho, you were doing really well over here 9 months ago, but we can start to see that, this year you don't have as many bookings or you don't have as many contracts out. Then they're going to be a little bit leery about extending you credit. So that's why he was saying the time to do it is now before things start to get sour, i.e. he was saying the end of the year or early 2020. So once you've got you've got some money put aside and such, and you're going to be looking at that. The next thing that Jerry talked about was marketing, and in a typical business, small business that isn't being run properly, and I'll say it that way, the first thing we do is when things get tight, we want to cut our advertising. Oh, look, we're spending $500 a month on advertising. Let's save that $500 because everybody knows we're here. Smart businesses have put the money aside in advance, and when it gets to the times where you're in the middle of a recession, these companies are still advertising, and they're able to gain market share during these tougher times. They may not be making as many sales as they would like. Pretty much no one is. But because they still have a presence out there, and they have their face out there, and they have their logos out there, what have you, they're able to build that recognition from the customers, and some of which will hire them now during this recessional time, especially in the entertainment world. People still hire entertainment during slower times. But when it comes time to get back into it, you have got all of this branding already out there. You have got all the word of mouth people talking about you, and you're in a much better position to be able to capitalize on the improving economy than someone who basically cut their advertising or their marketing dollars completely and have been sitting there struggling and starving during this recessionary time. So Jerry's tip on this one is don't be cutting your marketing. Maybe even think about increasing it smartly. Don't be just throwing money out there helter-skelter. Don't be buying this ink pen that says, hey, I stole this from the Destructy News. Don't do stupid things like that. Instead, get that bumper sticker that says honk if you like the Destructy. No, don't do that either. That's stupid too. Be smart. But marketing and doing some things during this time, and maybe doing more guerrilla marketing, could be something that would be huge for you to be able to build that business during the slow times of the year. I just wanted to go click here. So I've got this click. There we go. I've got too many buttons here, so I want to make sure I'm hitting the right buttons. Okay, so with the marketing, to be smart with the marketing, and this I'm going to jump down to a different point that Jerry had is a big part of this is to understand who our optimal clients are. Who are the people that we work the best with? Be able to define that person. I mean, literally, I would go through to the point of being able to draw a picture of who they are and talking and understanding their nuances, their characteristics, what makes them work, what's their hot button, what are their values, all of these things to understand who that perfect and ideal client is. Who are the people who would hire your types of services? If you're doing a higher end service, not everybody's going to hire that. Or if you're doing a service that's more of a blue jeans and a t-shirt type of a service, not everyone is going to hire that. Understanding where and who your optimal client is the most likely to hire you, and focus your efforts and money from that marketing one to this group is huge, especially during the times of recession. We don't have a ton of money to throw around. So you really have to make sure that the money that you have is going to be as effective as possible. Identifying that person and being able to target them during this time is huge. Our friends at Facebook have made this a little bit easier for us. And if you're watching this and you're like, hey, how does that work? I've got a great video on this where I've gone through and I've shown people from step by step how to do marketing on Facebook and how to set up ads and how to target market that. That's out on our DJNTV.com. You go out there to DJNTV.com/schedule and you'll be able to see there's a Facebook a video on ads and such. That will take you through and kind of explain a lot of this to you. But it's an important thing to be doing when the money gets tighter, is to make your marketing as effective as possible and getting the biggest bang you can for your buck. Another point that Jerry brought up is talking about discounting. One of the first, after we've cut our marketing and we're not having any shows, then the immediate thought is, oh my gosh, we're going to have to lower our prices because no one's booking us. Well, we didn't think about it that it's probably because we're not getting as many calls. And if we would really think about it during our prime time, when we were, the economy was good, we were probably booking 2 out of 10 calls anyway. And now instead of getting 10 calls a week or 10 calls a month, now we're getting 2 calls a month, which means that it's going to take, to get that 2 and 10, it's going to take, 2 or 3 months because people aren't calling as frequently because our marketing was good. Discounting is not a great idea. Now, there's some things you could do to incentivize increasing the value of what you're offering for your rate. So I'm going to throw a number out there. Let's say you're $1,000 for your DJ services. And now the recession has kind of hit and it's becoming kind of a little tighter market. And you've got other DJs in your market who are dropping prices and such. Now your job is a little bit more difficult because you're going to have to do some things to show the value that you can bring to the table, which could be your expertise. It could be that you could be saying, hey, I have got experience and I've got knowledge that's going to make your day incredible. And I'm going to be able to create this event. I mean, this past weekend, at the wedding I was doing, one of the neat things about it is that I was able to do some things at that wedding that most experienced DJs could not do. Hitting cues at the proper time, setting the crowd up, being able to take their attention and move it around the room. I wasn't paid to be a DJ this past weekend. I was paid to be that facilitator and director who made sure that things went exactly how it was supposed to happen. That kind of a thing is got way more value than someone who's going to push play and just play music. Those are the types of things that a person's got to figure out. How can I convey that value that I can bring to your party? That I'm going to be able to have it so that when you get to that dance floor, that every eye in the room is on you. And just as the applause starts to dwindle down and we can have that introduction that's going to just grab the hearts of everyone and make it so that they're ready to experience this special moment with you. Those are the kind of things you've got to be able to figure out: how to sell the value, how to maybe add a little bit more rather than take your dollar rate down. Maybe you're doing something more. Maybe we're going to add, I don't know, maybe a memory book. I don't know. There's things that you guys can do with that. That would be the direction I would go before I would first figure out the best way to sell my value. Then I would maybe add a little bit to say, oh, and you're going to be able to get this additionally, before starting to discount rates and such. Because once you start that discounting of rates, it's next to impossible to be able to get back to where you were before. Let's see. I want to make sure I've gone through all of Jerry's points that he went to. So let's get back to. Let's get back to the money side of it just a little bit. I want to hit that, and then we're going to wrap things up. This is a shorter video tonight because we got to get ready for the video with Dan here in just a little while. The money side is going to be huge, and depending upon where you are, some of you are going to feel it much more than others because some of you have a market that can sustain a higher level of higher rate shows than other markets can. All markets can handle higher rate shows. Let's put a number on a higher rate show for this example. Let's say higher rate shows are $2,500 and above. Every market has people who will hire a DJ for $2,500 and above. There's some of you listening to this and you're like, no, it won't happen in my market. Bull, it will. The problem is that every market has a limited number of people who will spend that. The greater your population, the stronger the economy is in your market, the more higher end things that are within your market, that kind of dictates of how many people are going to spend that higher end dollar, or that $2,500 and above. my market here is the county that I live in here in Minnesota is one of the lowest per capita rates of income in Minnesota. It has the at one time in the 80s, it was the highest welfare county in the state of Minnesota. So it's not the most affluent county by any means. Yet in this county, there are people who drive Mercedes-Benz, and there are people who I saw a Bentley the other day. There's Lamborghinis, that people own these things that live in these areas, and it's not that some of these are daily drivers, the Mercedes-Benz and the Lexus and there are people here who have money. There's no question about it. It's just how many of them. So in my particular case, that $2,500, if I want to be able to kind of go and do that, there's only limited opportunity for me here, which means that I've got to be aware of that and understand that, okay, so there was a limited number of those to begin with. And maybe as I'm getting prepared to go into a recession, maybe I'm going to change my focus a little bit. Instead of going after the higher end weddings, maybe I'm going to move myself a little bit to a different type of tier or a different type of client. That can happen. I mean, that a person can change what their offering is going to be. Maybe I'm going to simplify. Maybe I'm going to change my focus, and instead of doing the high-end weddings where I was doing all these production and the video and uploading and all these different things, maybe I'm going to simplify it down to where I'm going to try to focus more on Christian families who are doing small backyard dry weddings or whatever. I don't know. But there's the ability to figure out your rates and charge and what you're going to do, and to do it in a way that's going to set you in the best position to succeed within your market. Every market's got high, every market's got a low end. And it's just a question of how many opportunities there are to book the high or to book the low end. And then you got to figure out where you fit in and where you're going to be the most successful. So that's about it. I just wanted to give you guys just a quick little shout here about some of the things. I think we're at about 24 minutes roughly. So we'll be back in about an hour, just short of an hour, at 10 o'clock Eastern, the top of the hour. Dan Carpenter and I are going to be talking about 5 of our takeaways. Obviously, this was one of them for me, but I'll touch base on it a little bit later. If you want to go out and check out DJNTV Insider.com. That is our insider area where we do a lot of our educational content, and there's a lot of educational videos. You guys can go check that out. If you want to check out what we're doing in February of 2019, go out to djntv.com/Vegas, and you're going to find out more information about us heading out to Las Vegas, yay, next February for our first event in Vegas. Pretty excited about that. So once again, John Young with the Disc Jockey News. Thank you for watching, and we will see you at, I need to see, I got my button here. If I hit this button right here, we go bye-bye. Night.